Absolute. The biggest load of chicken droppings I've heard in a long time, Jeremy, I have to say. I mean, I admire people who take the trouble to learn languages, to count words, to be fascinated. That's where I earn my job. That's what I do for a living, after all. But to save at the millionth... The millionth word came into English language years ago, decades ago, probably.
So what do you reckon it is now?
I reckon it's about 1.5 million now. I mean, here behind me, I've got the big Webster dictionary. That's got, 500,000, 600,000 words in it these days. The Oxford English Dictionary, which I don't have with me, it's just too heavy, has got another 600,000. Now you think, well, they'll be the same then. Not at all. Less than half the words in those two dictionaries are the same. So we're up to about 1 million already, let alone the specialised dictionaries that are around.
Now, why is it that English, and this sounds an idiotic question, but if you look at the cumulative total of words estimated in various languages, English seems to have more or less twice as many as Chinese, for example, 10 times as many as French. Why is that?
Well, because of that 1.5 million words, or whatever it happens to be, 80% of them are scientific and technological words. And it's because English became the language of science in the 18th century that it suddenly took off and went ahead of all other languages. I mean, other languages that are scientifically literate, of course, have been able to catch up with English to that extent. But it's the technological side of the vocabulary that's the cause of it.
And the fact that the language is now spoken so internationally means that there are now different varieties of it. And surely one of the definitions of a language, or one of the requirements of a language, is that people in different territories can understand each other. But aren't we getting to the point now where parts of it are so fragmented they can't understand one another, although apparently speaking the same language?
Well, yes, that's happening, absolutely. What's happening in many parts of the world is that two levels of English are being used. Go to Singapore, for instance, and you'll hear standard English spoken, more or less the same sort of thing that you and I are using now. But you'll also hear on the streets of Singapore a local variety of English, Singlish, a bit like the varieties you were talking about in your film a few moments ago. And that you and I would not understand. So people are becoming more multi-dialectal in their own language, if you like. Standard English is the glue that binds all these varieties together. But at a local level, expressions of identity come with local dialects.
I once heard somebody say that one of the reasons English was so popular as a language to learn, as a lingua franca, was because it was like Malay, very easy to speak badly.
Yes, that's right. Well, I've heard that argument too. No, there's only one reason why English has become a global language, and that is the power of the people who speak it. Of course, power means different things at different times. It meant political and military power once upon a time, and then it meant science power, as I said before. And then in the 19th century, it meant economic power. And now in the 20th century, it was cultural power. And all of these things have made English attractive to so many people. 2 billion people speak English now.
What is going to be the consequence of the emergence of China, then, as the new superpower? Will that put English into retreat?
It might do. I mean, futurology questions about language are always really about the politics and society that underlie them. I mean, I think there are 3 languages that, depending upon what happens in the world, could take over from English one day. Chinese is one, certainly. Spanish is another. Spanish is the fastest growing language in the world at the moment, thanks to South and Central America. And, of course, Arabic is a
hang on. I'm going to have to interrupt you there, because I think we've now got Paul J.J. Pyack in Texas. Can you hear us okay?
Yes, I can. You
Excellent.
Come in loud and clear.
Excellent. Good. Well, this is rubbish, this idea of yours, isn't it? It's not going to be the millionth tomorrow.
It might actually be the 10 millionth, right? It's like, well, David Crystal has a good position on the number of words in a language, and we basically agree with a lot of what he says.
You've no shame. Why are you claiming it's going to be the millionth word at 10:22 tomorrow, when apparently you could be out by a factor of 10?
Well, not really. I mean, it depends how you look at it. I mean, like, I have a long history in technology. And what we do in technology is we have a problem, we put bounds around it, and then we try to solve the problem. Now, this started 5 years ago when we were looking at trying to figure out how many words were in the English language in general. And we used a way to do it. We went to the major unabridged dictionaries, saw how many words were in each of the dictionaries, came up with a base count and unabridged dictionaries of all the great English-speaking countries. And then what we did is that was about 650,000. And then we studied some historical linguistics on how words were added to the language. And, I mean, there could be 10 million, but there's only 450 in a Merriam-Webster's unabridged. There's about, I don't know, 500,000 or 600,000 in an OED right now. And so what we did is use that at our base and then saw the new words that were percolated along, and we started adding them.
I think what you're saying is
where we get our estimate.
Well, what you're saying is we shouldn't take this figure of the millionth word very seriously.
No, you're supposed to take it very seriously so far as we look at it as a cultural phenomenon, okay? That this is the first time we've had a global language on the planet in the history of speech. Okay, we've had, French was a diplomatic language, Latin was a medieval language, but it's always been always been localized.
We've just been looking.
Now we have a global language.
Yeah, absolutely. We've just been looking at a clock on your website counting down to the millionth word at 10:22.
According to our methodology.
Yeah, well, unfortunately, it's out by about 13
according
hours.
According to our methodology.
Yeah, but even the clock on your website's
we're
wrong.
Trying to look into that. It's technology. Give me a break. It's like we couldn't even get through to you with the television, right? I mean, that's just how it works. It's like the calculations are mathematics. Okay, it's pure mathematics, and we extrapolated from the base number of words that were generally accepted in the dictionaries, and how many words are being added, and it comes out to 1 million.
Okay, well, look, thank you very much. I'm so sorry about the communication problems, but thank you for joining us, both of you. Thanks very much.